So how long have you been into competitive fighting games?
Probably since I was, I want to say, 6 years old. My dad, my cousins introduced me to them. They would smack the flames out of me in the games because clearly I was too young to know what I was doing.
I discovered Super Smash Bros. Melee in August of 2014, and I finally decided to start playing in October of that year. So it's been about a little more than 2.5 years, I would say.
I mean, when we got into high school, me and you, of course, along with Justin, we really started getting into fighting games. Really getting into them. Not just, your typical, oh, I won this game, you won that. It was, bringing the tech in.
If I had to trace it back, it would be high school. High school was when, I met all my good friends, you, Anthony, and we were all really competitive, and we all enjoyed playing games together.
We never ever actually went into a tournament until now when we were in college, and that's when it was just one step forward, where now instead of it being tech between us, now we're playing other players that are like us.
I'd say it's been a solid 8 years maybe, and only now, 2017, am I actually starting to, I guess, get good and actually do stuff, actually put my mind and effort towards being good at a fighting game.
So the first tournament I went to was in this little place in Manhattan. There weren't that many people. It was about 20 to 25 people. It was the first time I've ever had experience playing people before. So overall, it didn't leave a good taste in my mouth because the way the people acted, they weren't open and welcoming to new people. I went there and I made it known that this is the first time I ever played with other people, and I'm very new to the game. A lot of people kind of brushed it off, they didn't care. And I didn't like that because, you hear so much about these competitive gaming communities and everybody's so welcoming and you meet all these amazing people. And I didn't get that vibe from these people that were in the scene local to us.
Never really experienced anything like it before. We went to this place called Next Level in Brooklyn, and when we got there, we were the very first people there. It had to be maybe, the place wasn't even open yet actually, now that I remember it. We had gotten there so early that the place wasn't open, so we went nearby, we found a good pork bun place, and we just chilled in there, and we finally went, first one's in there, and we went straight to the stream setup, the table directly in the middle of the bigger area of the venue that everyone would watch around. They would clamor around it to see, who's on stream next, who's being recorded and shown to the world because they're good enough to get there.
Obviously, it was very different than when we were just playing, online together. We played closed rooms, no open lobbies. It was literally just me, you, Justin, and any other one of our friends that used to play. Shout outs. You know who you are.
Maybe 3 hours later, the venue was just full of people we've never seen before that were there to play the same game, that weren't very good but wanted to make a name for themselves in this brand new game. This is Smash 4 I'm talking about, by the way, if I didn't clarify that. And yeah, we were just playing, and we were just going around trying to be good and trying to learn stuff, and it was interesting, all these people being there, just the same goal and the same mindset and just trying to be good.
The local was more of just setting me back down on earth. I was on this high horse because out of all of us, I was on top. And at the local, I placed 13th at my first local. That's 12 people over me. Not saying, it was anything that hurt my pride or anything, but it was definitely a wake-up call that there are people that are good out there.
I feel you don't really realize there's a problem with the way you're playing until you lose, until you do something wrong, until somebody capitalizes on something you're not doing right. Whether it be them realizing you have a pattern when you play, you have a habit, it's just anything. It's just when you lose, you come to understanding that there's something wrong with the way you play.
It's more of keeping a level head, where it's if you lose, are you a salty player? That instead of, when you lose a match thinking, what did I do wrong? What did the opponent do right? Or how can I avoid that happening again? You're sitting there saying, this game is fake, or I suck, or anything that's basically avoiding actually realizing why you lost.
And looking back at replays, asking for advice, just looking back at what you did is the best way to improve. If you go through all of your Smash career or any fighting game career, or really anything that has to do with sports of any kind of losing, if you go through it without looking back and saying, why did I lose? Then you'll never understand how to get better.
Do you think fighting game players face any hardships?
Yeah, I think they face a lot of hardships, especially from outsiders. People who don't play the games a lot kind of give them sort of burden because they don't really understand like the enjoyment for the game, and they kind of like bother them. And then during the game, people do get like salty and they get like really upset when they lose, or even sometimes when they win, they're just annoyed by other people. It's just kind of upsetting that someone isn't happy with their own life, so they have to put down your life. And I guess these players get really upset because they have to deal with that, and they have to think or feel guilty because someone else thinks otherwise.
How did you get into running the local scene?
So like I said before, I felt very discouraged the first tournament experience I had outside of Staten Island. So I said, you know what, if nobody else is going to try to do something here, I might as well start my own scene. And then I discovered here, Gamechamp, and we've been here for almost 2 years at this point. So it's been going really, really well. You know, we get new faces in all the time. You know, we have a lot of consistent people that I've known at this point for, like I said, about 2 years now, people that I consider very good friends of mine. You know, I'm glad to see all the time, at least once a week. We have a lot of fun, and overall, you know, like we've just gotten really close and tight-knit. You know, like it's not just a community anymore, like we've kind of grown as like a family, as cliche as that may sound. But like, you know, when you see these people once, twice a week, you know, for 8 hours a day, you know, you know, these are your friends. They're not just associates that you see when you play a video game with. You know, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go here because I get to play this guy. No, like I say to myself, I'm glad I get to go today because I'm gonna see this person, I'm gonna see that person. We're all gonna hang out. Because some people don't live on the island. Some people live in Queens. Some people live in the Bronx, Brooklyn, like all over the place, not just Staten Island. So it's like the only way that I would be able to see them is if they came here. And with that said, like these are people that I really, you know, are very happy to call my friends and that I can see all the time.
How do you feel about money being exchanged at these events?
Well, thing is, it's one of those things that you don't really, you know, if you're not with it, if you're not cool with money being placed, you don't ever have to actually enter. You can just do friendlies with the people playing. And that is actually a good experience because if you go to the same local and the same people are playing, you're basically getting free training against the people that you will be up against. So as far as, you know, exchanging money, I personally feel that if you are not confident in your abilities in the game, you should not be playing it. It's unless you have the money to do it.
I think money being in the event is good. Money is a big driving factor for a lot of players to play and compete and get better. If there was no meaningful reward for winning other than just prestige or fame, then there'd be no reason for people to keep playing. For like someone could just win a tournament, win a big tournament, and then just never play again because they're not getting anything from it. But you have in tournaments now, in every fighting game, you have the same people that always go, the same top level players that are going because they know they could win a lot of money because they have won a lot of money before. Some players have made careers out of this, and they're the players that are consistently at the very top of every single tournament, every single big tournament. And especially, and I think now because of that, a lot of venues, a lot of sponsors are really upping the ante with how much money they're pitching in. You see tournaments like Evo or Apex, which are once a year, and they're having like $10,000 plus pop bonuses on top of all the entrants that go there, which is a couple hundred to a couple thousand.
Again, you can do anything with your money. People buy some crazy, you know, things with their own money. I mean, what's trying to win some more in a game that you play? So I don't really think much of it. It's it's a tournament. It basically gives people, I guess, another incentive to actually be good at the game, as opposed to just playing the game for absolutely nothing except the title of being a good player.
Do you think fighting games has a future?
I absolutely do think it has a future. One of our players here, actually, he just recently got sponsored by an esports team. So with that said, it definitely can lead to opportunities for a lot of people, whether you be a player or somebody that's running the scene, because people don't realize, but a lot of the reasons why the community is so successful is because it's for the people who work behind the scenes, the organizers who put in all the work and stuff, and people actually make careers out of that.
Fighting games have been getting more and more publicity as of late, in the previous years. And nowadays, big events, I'm not going to go crazy into esports, but big esports events, again, like Apex, Evo, they get bigger and bigger every year. Developers of Street Fighter have their own cup, their own league that they run to get players to, it's like a circuit that they do around the country with a big pop bonus of, I believe, like 500,000 for first place, something like that. And it's crazy because it's really extending, it's really getting people to play. And honestly, when I go to tournaments now, I see younger and younger kids going. Like now, fighting games aren't just for those that are older, that are, experienced in it, that played like Street Fighter 2 and now they're playing Street Fighter 5 out of nostalgia and because they want to be good, because they want to be good then. Now it's like, you have kids that are like, oh wow, I see these people on TV that are doing really well and I want to be that, and they start going and they get their parents to bring them there and the parents are just there watching them, not really understanding, but the kids are like really enjoying it. That's like the next generation of fighting game players. They're ready to go, and they're gonna learn faster than everybody because they're starting earlier than my generation did,
They are making advancements, which, like trying to get out there, trying to get big, trying to sponsor people. There's esports. Basically, it's just like any other sport, only electronic sports, basically. So think of any sports team, any type of sports, franchise, NFL, MLB. Now it's just esports for games. So I guess because of esports alone, definitely. I mean, it's definitely out there. It might not be as popular as actual sports like soccer and stuff. But, I mean, it's definitely bigger than what it used to be. So, as far as a bright future, I mean, definitely looks, bigger. I mean, fighting games have been coming out left and right. They've been getting good reviews. And again, it's like if one fighting game isn't your style, you have another one. Sort of like sports. If baseball isn't your style, watch football, vice versa. So, maybe.
People kind of, look, think, oh, you can't have a job playing video games all the time. And I mean, me personally, I thought that was true. But when I got into this and saw, how things really go, in the community and the industry as a whole, it's kind of crazy. Like I said, one of our players here, he just recently got sponsored. So whatever that may bring him afterwards, I wish him the best of luck. But with that, he could make it a full-time career out of it if he really gets successful. So yeah, absolutely. A lot of people who come here, they want to strive to be the best. They definitely, it's all fun and games here. We all hang out and stuff. But when it comes down to actually doing well and playing in the tournament, people get 100% serious because they want to do the best. They want to improve. They want to make themselves the best they could be. And like I said, seize those opportunities if they ever are brought upon them.
Do you think fighting games is healthy for fighting game players?
Yeah, I do think it's healthy. I think having rivals can kind of build your confidence, and I think the competitive nature of the games itself kind of gives people the chance to show what they're made of in different ways, and they can learn from their mistakes and really build up who they are as a person. And I know that, if you don't have confidence, you're shy and timid and kind of hide away and things like that, but a lot of shy and timid people come out to play Smash, I think. And it builds their confidence. They interact with people, and I've seen Justin, for example, is really shy and timid, and he is just all over the place when he comes to the tournaments. He's talking to people, he's happy, he's excited, things like that.
it's a 50-50. If you get destroyed at a video game, there are people that will make that motivation to be better at the game, or they'll just quit right then and there. Clearly, in that respect, maybe competitive fighting games aren't for you, but I think that because it motivated me instead of made me quit, it sort of drives into just things in life. Like, I don't quit things, I don't know, like school sucks. I didn't quit. I'm pulling through. Same with a lot of things.
I feel like I've learned a lot about fighting games that I can apply to everyday life. Like, not giving up, not just quitting when I'm down, not letting it knock me down when I could sit there and I could be like, God, I suck. Why am I even continuing? Why continue anything? But then I realized, I could just try and I could learn from my mistakes, and I apply that to everyday life. And I feel like I've improved as a person, to be honest. And through fighting games, I've met a lot of good people. Like, just traveling to all these different places that I've never been to. Even like in a state over, or some community I've never been to in the city. Like, I find all these new places, and it leads me to, try different foods. At that, I found so many neat food places, and I'm a cook, by the way, so, finding a new place to eat is really, like, fascinating for me.
Just meeting so many different people and so many people who enjoy the same things, like, we can expand our friends in the area. And, just trying different foods, seeing different places. Getting out of the house for one is just always a huge plus.
So when I go to these venues in like the middle of nowhere and there's like a really neat place to eat that doesn't have food that I find where I live, it's fun. It's a cool experience. But I definitely take a lot away from fighting games. Like, the overall strategy of it, I can apply to real life in certain situations, not every single one, obviously. I definitely think my life has positively improved from playing fighting games.
What I think is the biggest thing to take away from it is a lot of people, those younger kids per se, are much more mature. And now at this point, I feel like it helped them grow as people, because at this point now, they're almost going to be seniors in high school. So a lot of the kids, they would come and they, act very, childish and immature. And, me being one of the older figures here, be like, hey, you got to cut that out. You can't act like this all the time. It's like you're in a public area with people that don't know you, or, like you don't want to act like, a typical teenager on the internet, like in real life. So it definitely helped shape and form people into more mature adults. And, it just helped make people, helps people get more friends. And again, just as a whole, the biggest thing that I take away from this, at least, is that everybody gets to know each other and we all become friends and we're all family and stuff. We're, like I said, we don't just come here to play a game. We're here because we're glad to see each other, So overall, I definitely think this, not even just for me, but just for everybody in general, this has 100% a positive impact on every single person that's come here, whether they've been here once, twice, or every single week for 2 years in a row. I just think everybody is overall happy that we've made this community and we've had this scene going on for so long.
Maybe another thing would just be that, I got to meet a lot of people, it made me more social. It makes people more social because, again, if you're going to a local, you see, you get to see a bunch of people. Unless you're going to be that weird person that just sits there to play, and when you lose, you just leave. That's a rarity, but it's like, I know a lot of people that have low self-esteem that, sort of branched out through locals because it's the same people, and it's just a reason to get out there and, interact. Not that I needed that. I was always the man.
What do you think is your goal as a fighting game player?
Honestly, I just want to improve. I don't really care if I never become, like, the best of any character, or if I become the best player in the world. I just want to know that after all these years of playing, that I've truly improved as a player and as a person. You know, like all the time I've put, all the nights, all the hours I've put into playing, into researching, into taking notes, into just looking at what I'm doing wrong and what I can do right. I want to know that it's not time that I've wasted.
My first goal when I first started doing this was I wanted to make the scene become big. I wanted it to grow. I wanted to find as many people as I could, because when I first found out about it, there was a Facebook group and there was literally like 20 people in it. And a lot of the people that were in it didn't even really like care enough to play the game, or they weren't active, or just some people who just were unresponsive in general. So like to say altogether, there was probably like less than 10 people that were actually serious in that Facebook group. And so overall, I was like, I have such a small thing to go off of. I needed to find more people. I needed it to grow. I needed to bring more people in.
My goal, ultimately, when I play a game, is just to get good at it. Again, I mean, this stems from, I guess, when I was younger. It's sort of like, when you're 6 years old getting destroyed, obviously, you don't want to have that happen again. There are only two ways to stop that. You either stop playing the game or get good at them.
Again, my biggest goal is to just make the Staten Island scene successful, make a lot of more people realize that, it's not a weak region, that there's a lot of people out here, and just see the people that like we've brought in, and everyone that I've seen start from the bottom become extremely talented and very, very good players. Hopefully they can take off and they may have a career out of it because of something that I helped them achieve.
When big fighting game tournaments are on, I'll be home and I'll watch it like it's sports. I'm cheering people on, I'm getting hype. I'm just sitting there like, I'll spend just hours just watching the TV, just watching these people play. I'm getting crazy over the littlest things that somebody else will come in and be like, well, what's the big deal? It's just people playing games. Any nerd can play a game. But it's more than that to me and to everybody in these communities. It's a chance to be someone you're not.
I want to be on the stage disrespecting people. I want, I don't even have to necessarily come in first, even though of course the money helps. Top 3, whatever. So seeing, fans root for you and stuff, that's pretty cool. Which is interesting because it's like, again, I don't necessarily have to come in first to get that feeling. It's more of just, a thing that I guess it's sort of wanting to be known, but more so obviously known in like a hype way, I want to bring the hype like I do, but now transfer that hype into a fighting game.
I want to be respected. I want people to see me and be like, huh, that guy is good. He knows what he's doing. It doesn't have to be I'm number one in anywhere, in New York, in the US, in the world. I just want people to know that I'm good, that I worked my way up, I think that's what it means to me. That's my goal.
Like, all the gamers have their gamer tags. Like in Alternate Ego, like you have Justin isn't Justin. Justin's Bang the Ninja, and he comes in with like his little face mask and stuff, like Kakashi, and like he just really lights up, and it's not just him, it's everyone. Like you have Kron, you have Paulie, you have Katie, you have Pingus, you have so many players, and they just really come to life, and I guess they come here to be someone and to just do something, It's like they're happy, and it's just their opportunity to be happy is just by being who they want to be, and they're becoming what they want, even though they have to go back to their regular lives and jobs and school and just people putting them down for what they enjoy. But in this opportunity, it doesn't matter what Justin, Anthony, Brandon has to go through. It's the star of the show. It's like an alternate identity. It's like a superhero. It's like a stage name. It's like you're just better. It's like a better life you're just checking into. It's cool.
All right. So, what's your name and your tag?
What's up, man? What's your name?
You fucking.
With it, you don't have to enter. So realistically, who are you?
I don't think it's any secret. I think losing.
Battery died.
Well. Woo! Time to eat!
Yeah, sure is, Billy Bob. It sure is. All right. Let's
I gotta think about my responses anyways. I gotta reflect on myself.
Sure. I'll give you the questions when we get over there.
To my limit.
All right. Don't be me. Don't wait for a school project to tell you to make something you've had footage for years. Just make it.